Hey, this is Grayson at the Real Deal 29. Today we're talking about don't get stuck in one spot, okay? And fishing the same lure. Don't get stuck. I know me as myself when I was younger, I would see that video, that over there, all that brush pile, and that heron over there in that tree, okay? Now that heron's actually a pretty good sign, okay? Because that heron, 9 times out of 10, eats fish. So that means he's probably seen some fish over there. But today the water is choppy, so I, myself as an angler, would not see fish being over there. Because if you watch one of my last video I posted about, if it ain't out yet, it should be coming out soon. But my video about, it's gonna be called the strike zone and where to cast. It's mainly talking about those bats are going to be up against some type of structure that's won't move when the wind hits it. To me, that'd move when the wind hits it. So I don't know what the crane's thinking, but maybe he sees something I don't. Anyways, let's get to this video now. If you want to see that video, just go watch that video. Okay? I'll try to link it in the description. If it's not, yeah, just go find it. I'll put the name of it in the description. Okay, so what I mean by that is, what I mean by don't get stuck using one lure, one spot, one day, okay? I pulled up at this spot and I thought, you know what? It's got boat dock here. Looks like a nice spot. So I figured I'd throw the hybrid hunter in just to see what would happen, okay? So I threw it in a couple times. Well, I switched lures, I switched spots. Dude, I even switched rods. That part's not necessary if you don't have a lot of rods, but I only have 3. So I don't know much about this area. I just kind of moved over here because I kind of needed to move. I'm using a square bill crankbait. Feels like some rocks on the bottom over there. I can see them. So I'll show you the lure I'm using. Switched spots, we switched areas. Got a cool little lure, cool little rod, a square bill crankbait. So we switched lures, we switched rods. We don't have to switch rods, but we switched lures, we switched spots. We switched almost everything else we can think of. Okay. So I was casting shallow with a shallow diving crankbait, casting over all these rocks, creating all kinds of havoc. The point of a crankbait, 90% of the time, you gotta know what way they want that crankbait presented. I'm guessing, most of the time, rub it across the bottom. Now I know what you're thinking. Grayson, what do you mean? It's got 6 hooks on it. 2 treble hooks, 3 hooks on each hook. So it's got like 6 hooks on it. What do you mean rub it across the bottom? Well, it needs to be close to the bottom. Okay, not necessarily on the bottom as close as you can, but really on the bottom. That way it rubs across and creates all kinds of havoc. And backlash. Okay, now I'm gonna pick that out like so. Sometimes I pick it out and if it's not real bad, I'll just kind of pull on it and it'll come out. No, another thing for another episode. But, you reel it hard enough. Feels like you got one, but you don't. That was a bad cast. Definitely not accurate to the strike zone. But we come up here to like this. You can feel your crankbait rubbing across the bottom. It feels different, okay? Now, I know different. That was a perfect cast. Like, it's gonna be rubbing across all those rocks. And, so you gotta just switch areas. I got a leaf on mine. There we go. A lot of times you get leaves on these things, you just kind of crank them real hard. And if you want the weedless, I'd say relatively weedless crankbait, go with a square bill or hybrid hunter. Now the reason I'm saying this You don't want the one that dives 400 foot deep or 4 foot deep. If you're fishing 2 foot deep, it'll rub across the bottom completely. Probably never get off the bottom. Your deep is just 2 foot. So you gotta know what crankbait you're using. But so know your area. That's another thing. That's how that ties into that. Don't get it stuck in the dock like I almost did. All right, so give it a couple more casts. We don't see one. I guess we'll see you next time for this episode. That's about it. So for this episode, I would say that's about all I've got for don't get stuck on one spot. Just give it a couple casts, different areas, present it different ways. The 3 S's. Switch lures, switch times, switch spots. Those don't work. I don't know. Most of the time, that'll work. Oh, 4 S's. Switch spots, switch time, switch lures, switch which way you represent your lure. And what I mean by that, if you don't know what represent your lure means, when it hits the water, ow. When it hits the water, it needs to, sometimes they want that splash, that big splash. Sometimes they don't want that big splash. So you gotta figure out what they want. Mainly, bass are picky. If they don't want it, they won't eat it. No matter if you got it looking the best. I've had lures that I thought looked like they would catch a whale. But the bass did not think that. So they didn't eat it. Well, we didn't catch any fish, so I switched lures. I switched spots. I switched strike zones. So I guess I'll see you next time on The Real Deal 29. Ow, ow, ow. I was down in Bristol fishing one year. I dropped a lure right on top of its head. Literally, I could see it under the dock. So I dropped it. So I dropped the lure under the dock, right on top of it. I dropped a topwater frog on top of it. I dropped a crankbait. And that's when I was younger and didn't know they wanted it how they wanted it. So I kept fishing on that one little fish. And sometimes that one little fish, I think it was spawning. It's probably spawning time for that thing. So it won't really bite. But you gotta know when your spawn time is and all that. So I'll see you next time on The Real Deal 29. Hit through to the strike zone. What I thought should be the strike zone anyways for the day. I think it should be this because nothing can move that. See? It ain't moving, barely. It's on floats. But other than that, it kind of don't move. So I'm casting to the strike zone. Blah, 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 blah. Hours went by. I'm still throwing the same lure. Didn't get a bite. Didn't see anything. There's probably nothing there. Or they're just not this time of day. So A, switch lures. B, switch spots. C, try a different time of the day. Okay, and if none of those work, I don't know. But, okay, now I'm just trying to move around your spot. I was fishing that side for a minute or two, so I'm gonna come over here. Nothing there. So I'm gonna walk over here now. Nothing there. Oh, let's just see here. There may be something here, hopefully. Nothing there. Because that cast out was pretty fast. Nothing there. So this time on the other side, I'll cast it out there. And I'll reel it slowly. Nothing that time. So I'll come over here. No, maybe I'll reel it medium this time. Or maybe sometimes it's your presence. Like, I smacked the water with my rod that time. And it messed my lure up. A lot of times I've seen this with the hybrid hunter. If you backlash or something suddenly stops, it gobs up there. Easy fix though. And honestly, I don't see any fish. I've got some polarized glasses and a hat to block the sunshine. He's trying to see all the way to the bottom right here. I don't see any fish, but sometimes anglers don't see no fish. It just looks juicy though. It just looks like a really good spot. So what they'll do is they'll come up, they'll grab a lure, and they'll throw it in there. And they'll just get stuck on that one spot because it just looks good. But this right here actually doesn't look good. Let's just say, right there, that's shady. It's got decent structure to it. Looks actually decently well. You're gonna fish along the edge of that. like it's a brush pile, okay? But you get nothing. So A, you're gonna switch lures. B, switch time. One jumped up, that's a good sign. That means it's the right time. So B is out, switch times. You don't need to switch times because they're right here. C, you just don't have the right lure. And so I'm gonna cast out there to where that was. And let's see what happens here. Catch a fish, it'd be awesome. I haven't caught anything yet. Getting ready to move on. Me as an angler, and especially when I was younger, I would get stuck in one spot, mainly because I caught one fish there, and I would want to burn that spot up. And that one fish is like all that was there. Sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes there's a million over there. You're just not presenting your lure the right way. Sometimes they're there. You're presenting your lure the right way and everything, and they just don't want to bite. They're stubborn. I mean, bass are dumb. They are really dumb. But a lot of times, it's not what you're doing or where you're doing it. It's you've been doing it too long. I mean, I just said bass are dumb, so I'm kind of really correcting myself there. A lot of people think bass are dumb, but they're dumbish and smartish the same way. They get smarter because the older they grow, the smarter they do. Because he didn't get big by being dumb. If you're going after the big one, he didn't get big by being dumb. So if you're throwing these little bitty lures like the Hybrid Hunter Junior, your big bass, your big hopes are done for. Because big lures equals big bass, throw them in weird spots. Now this video's covered just a little bit more than don't get stuck in the same spot, but I felt like it needed to be said. But I'm thinking I'm gonna switch lures here because I've been throwing this one for a while. That one jumped up there just a second ago, so they're here. They're just not wanting the lure. They're not wanting the way I'm presenting it. They're not wanting the way I'm doing it, or something. So I'm gonna switch lures here, and I'll see what happens.